Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Village of Bartlett Committee of the Whole meeting for May 21st, 2024. I call this meeting to order and again ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee DEYNE? Here. Gansey?
Here.
GUNSTEEN?
Here.
Hopkins? Here. Laporte?
Here.
SUWANSKI?
Here.
President Wallace?
Here. We'll start out with the town hall option. If anyone would like to address the Committee of the Whole, kindly step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody in the chamber here that would like to address the board regarding committee? Mr. Peebles? Anybody online would like to address the board during committee? Hall?
No, Mayor, we do not.
Thank you, Mr. Peebles. We're moving along. Standing committee reports. First, Standing Committee Report, Building and Zoning Committee Chairman GUNSTEEN.
Thank you, President Wallace. Tonight we have the Town Center Concept Discussion, a discussion regarding the proposed Town Center improvements designed by Tesca, who also designed the concept for the Depot Museum. If the board is in favor of the concept, we will proceed with working with an engineering firm and Tesca to perform and design the approved concept plan. With that said, I'm going to turn this over to Tyler to give us a little bit of the feedback and information, or Scott, either one.
I can.
The microphone.
I'll go ahead and
Okay.
cover it. I'm trying to share my screen.
Christy's daughter's graduating tonight, so we don't have Christy flipping up the.
It's an excuse.
She's not driving the dashboard tonight.
I don't know why we can't make that. It's a little bigger. So as you're aware, we've been working on a Metra grant to do some landscape enhancements south of the tracks by the Depot Museum and that. As we were getting into it, in the capital program, we also have Sidewalk on the south side of Railroad from Moore Brewing east to Main Street. And then we also had Town Center. And we've had issues with the fountain. And when we started looking at it, the pavers, and it needs some work over there. So we ended up working with our landscape architect that had worked with on the plan for the Metra to come up with the concept plan for Town Center. You can see there's not really a fountain. It's more of a stream approach. This is the concept, if you can see it. So it'll have a running stream that will be running through the area. It'll have walkways going throughout. We're also looking at the north end where kind of the start of the stream would cascade down to the south. That'll be a stone wall, so we're looking to incorporate a message board sign in there. We typically have banners that go at Town Center pretty much year-round, it seems like, so we thought if we could incorporate a digital sign into that wall, that would kind of account for the banners that we currently hang. This would be, see if I, can I use a pointer?
It's that your little U-shaped rock wall at the
Yes.
left side.
Very north end, where you could, yeah, the U-shape, that's a
U-shaped
stone
rock
area.
wall.
It would be on the corner facing northwest towards the intersection, kind of like the way we have our banners now. You can see the different, we also have been contacted, Christy actually was contacted by a local artist in town. They're looking to donate this art, so we're looking to incorporate that into the Town Center area or the Metra area. To be determined, but the Town Center area would make some sense. So one of the things that as we get into, a lot of this is specialty type items, not just at Town Center, but also at the Metra area. I've been talking to other communities that have done similar type projects in their downtown. One of the things that we're finding is they're going more to a design build, where you hire a designer or a landscape architect, and then you also hire the contractor early on to work on the features that, you know, the water features and that type of stuff, because you don't necessarily want the low bid building that type of stuff. So I'd kind of like to get your feedback on, is this an approach? We haven't really used this design approach for a project like this before, but I'd like to get feedback on whether you're comfortable with that design build approach. So what it would be is a contract with a consultant where they would have the landscape architect, in this case would be Tesca, who we've been working with, and then we would bring on a contractor, one that I've already been kind of having some initial discussions just to see if it would be feasible, would be Martam, who has done, if you're familiar with the downtown of Algonquin and the renovations that they've done over the last several years.
Their downtown is unbelievable now.
And they did this same approach. So I've been talking to them to find out how they did it. It's been very successful, and they've worked with consultant and Martam to get it built. So that's kind of the approach that I was looking to utilize to make sure we get the best product when we're all said and done. I think and it made sense to include town center, the metro area, and the south side of railroad into a project, get economies of scale for one, and it kind of enhances that whole area all at the same time.
That sounds good. That was the first thing that came to my mind, is to make sure that town center matched what Metro was doing, which matched what the train depot was doing. Can we include the corner, was it the AT&T switching center, just to tweak it a little bit so that they're all uniform?
We talked about that, but AT&T is very difficult to work with. So if we can try to work with them, we will. Otherwise, it could be something that we add in the future. It's just, they're very difficult to work with.
My only other input would be, if there's signage there, let's not have the signage take away from the beauty of the park.
Right.
If you look at, as you go through Ontarioville, by the Hanover Park train station there's really no signage there, and what signage is there is subtle. So it's my 2 cents.
So I have a couple questions on the design. How tall do you anticipate the rock structure that is incorporating what looks like the recirculator for the waterfall? Is that correct?
You're talking at like the north end?
I think so.
It'd be more like a seat wall type. It's not super high.
Okay. Just based off the notes here, there's a couple things I think that we should look at. You have some wood platforms, and I just think that wood platforms are going to cause a lot of maintenance,
Right.
a lifetime of maintenance, I should say.
We already shared that comment with the landscape architect. I'm against wood. I'm looking for low maintenance type materials.
And I'm hoping that this is just not concrete, that we have some sort of design in these walkways to incorporate the community feel that we have going so far. As far as the fountain, how is that maintained, filtrated, and kept from being green and moss growing?
There's, typically you would end up hiring a maintenance contractor that does algae control and chlorine, and basically you use chlorine to keep, that's what we currently use in the fountain that we have now, so it would be something similar.
It's not horribly costly though, right?
No.
But I guess one of the problems that we had with the fountain at the beginning, if I'm right, I'm sorry, were you done?
Go ahead.
Is in the wintertime, I think some things cracked underneath, right?
Right.
How do you keep from that happening again?
There'll be a
This
winter-
is even more complex.
Right, it'll be winterized. The experts know how to do it. That's why we would bring them in to actually build it and then make sure that we have the maintenance plan moving forward. But they can winterize it. You basically dewater it, isolate the water system, and, let it go for the winter.
What type of lighting is it? Is it like a normal street light height or lower?
Right now, we have the decorative light poles in there. So we're gonna look at other type of like landscape lighting, that like in the flower beds type thing, on trees and that type of thing. We would have outlets so that, I know we've been adding, like during the holidays, we've been adding lighting. We would make sure we incorporate that into the design as well so that we can continue to, decorate the tree that's there and those type of things.
Did they give any ideas for the future development site, like what they would do next?
To the north,
The
that
north
piece to the north?
side, yeah.
That really is private, it's not ours. So that has the potential of being developed. Right now, we have not heard anything for development there.
In my opinion, just to answer your question that you had, Mr. Director, I 100% trust in you using one firm and then using the other one. This kind of stuff has to be done really well, and it has to last a long time. So I would leave that up to your expertise to make sure it's done that way. That's my opinion.
I do also agree with trustee Laporte that I believe that the architecture of this might be taken away if the sign is either oversized or too bright. It'd actually take away from the whole corner. So if there's another option for a signage there, maybe that's something we should look at.
Okay.
Maybe some non-digital signs, some directional signs, something like that. I don't know, I'm just.
This would be more,
View, so if we had a
yeah, we could get you some concepts of
definitely
what that
help.
would look like. And these are even, it's still a work in progress, and that's the benefit of the design build is you kind of bounce things off and you kind of make the best based on constructability that the contractor will be at the table saying, no, you can't build it that way, along with the designers working on it to get something that will
Together.
work.
Yeah, I think what we want to do is just get away from the, big barricade with the vinyl,
Right.
Yeah.
thing.
I don't think it has to be anything huge. It's more of just taking the place of the banners that are pretty much up there.
Something that blends in. I think like a giant Etch-a-Sketch. That would work. You just,
Big knobs.
yeah, like Sanskrit. Yeah.
Or could the sign go by the bench that's by the AT&T? Isn't there a bench over there, like a little park, and puts a,
Where is it set back?
Southwest corner. We could look at that too, putting
do
it,
that, yeah.
it's just not as visible, but
When people come around the corner, they just look at
definitely
one
look at
area.
that. Right.
I don't, personally, I don't think I'd like the statue here. I think the statue's nice, but I don't think the
Yeah, I would ixnay the artwork stuff here.
We have a couple niche areas in the metro area that we could look at incorporating it over there as well.
That's a good idea.
Dan, we wouldn't have to relocate the existing rotary clock there, would we?
No. The plan is to incorporate it more. Right now, it's kind of in the grass. Would
Give it some landscape.
kind of incorporate it more into it.
Speaking of clock, if you do get a chance to drive through Algonquin, I was just there over the weekend. They've got this giant towering clock at their river area, and it's like clear up in the air with a huge face. I don't know, that was pretty expensive, I'm sure, but it's really nice.
Real quick, while we're talking about this, is this a right out only from the town center?
It is.
Is there a way to make that a left and right out? I mean, it seems, people are just turning right
I
and
go
then doing.
left out of there sometimes.
I do it all the time, but people are just turning right and doing a U-turn, and there's not enough traffic there, I don't think, to really warrant it as a one-way. I think it would
You
be
mean
in
off
our best
Railroad?
interest to look at that.
Yeah, we can look at that.
If you're gonna start looking at the road,
Uh-oh.
I know, I typically walk my kids down there and then they jump in the fountain and they think it's a pool. But getting across that road sometimes during rush hour is kind of difficult because you have that little median right there and they have another button to push and nothing's ever like timed up right. Is there a better way to incorporate a different walkway, like farther up instead of doing it right there at the hard corner? Is there a way to make it safer? I don't know, just maybe look at it a little bit.
Yeah, we can.
Good idea.
All right. Does anybody else have any feedback or questions?
No, I think that looks pretty cool. As long as you can, we're gonna put brown and rainbow trout in there, right?
They're going to host a fishing
Thinking
derby
koi.
Fly fishing full out.
If nobody has any more questions, we'll send this back for, well, are we approving to move forward on the concept design?
I think the next step would be bringing a contract for the design build, which we would try to get right away.
Good.
All right. That's all I have today.
Thank you, Chairman Gunstein. Police and Health Committee, Chairman SUWANSKI.
Thank you, Mr. President. For discussion this evening, we have a proposed ordinance amending the Bartlett Municipal Code regarding parking on sidewalk restrictions. The Police Department is requesting an amendment to Section 611-1304 of the Village Code, additional parking regulations of Part 11-1300, stopping, standing, and parking of Title VI, Motor Vehicles and Traffic. This proposed amendment to the Village Code would provide clear expectations for residents to relocate their vehicles from parking across a residential sidewalk during peak daytime hours, but allow residents to park vehicles across the sidewalk during overnight hours when there is generally less pedestrian traffic. The Police Department would like to amend Section 611-1304 of the Village Code and propose Section 611-1304.16, parking on sidewalk restrictions that impose time restrictions of 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday and Sundays in residential zoning districts. Section 7-1-8 would not be revised or removed as it applies to obstructions and supports the new sections as it provides that there cannot be any obstructions unless authorized by ordinance, which the proposed ordinance amendment contains. So I'd like to turn this over to Commander Rybaski and Chief Pretkelis for further discussion.
For you.
Very well said. Thank you very much, Trustee Squats. Kyle did a lot of the legwork on this and a lot of the research, so just really proud of what he looked into so far. I think it's a good concept. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commander Rybaski to share the information that he has for you tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Swansky and Chief, and congratulations, Lorna. So we are proposing an amendment to our village code to include restrictions on sidewalks, parking, and residential areas. Sidewalks are vital to the daily travel of our residents. However, when vehicles are parked on sidewalks, they obstruct these pathways and force pedestrians into the street, causing risk. We understand that parking can be a challenge in residential areas, especially when most residents own multiple cars and have limited space on driveways. Bartlett also has parking restrictions preventing vehicles from being parked on the roadway overnight without permission. It was brought to our attention that residents want to keep the streets clear overnight, but to do so, many residents need to park their vehicles over the sidewalk in their driveway. We researched our neighboring towns' ordinances and learned that they have implemented time restrictions on when a vehicle can block a sidewalk while in a residential area. These timeframes kept the sidewalks clear when most people could be expected to be using them. It also allowed vehicles to park across the sidewalk while in the driveway during overnight hours. By amending this ordinance and making this change, we're providing a solution that is a win-win for the residents and for the police, and that will help us maintain a safe, workable, and inclusive community. Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
I think the only tweak I'd like to see is make it 8 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. I just feel like I don't want people to wake up, go move their car onto the street, and then go back in and get ready because they leave for work at 7:30. I mean,
But the kids that are walking to school are leaving usually at, I don't know, Centennial starts at what, 7:30?
Yeah, the reason why we picked 7 o'clock was for that reason. Most kids start their walks to school by 8 o'clock. They start school at 8 o'clock at some schools, and some other elementary schools at 8:30, depending on where they go.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of complaints for this?
We average about a handful of complaints on the go outreach through the website, and we also receive probably another handful of complaints through dispatch throughout the years. Yeah.
Yearly? Okay.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of homeowners, they park sideways on their parkway. And I think that looks ridiculous as well, because they're in fear of getting a ticket. If they can park overnight over the sidewalk, I think it would eliminate that. So,
Is there any data that, has anybody been injured or hurt because a car was parked blocking the sidewalk? And what's the origin of this rule or law to begin with? When did it start?
From what I understand, we've had an ordinance for blocking the sidewalk for quite some time, I think in the 70s, I believe it was. And it's also a state statute as well. Anything to reduce the people having to walk in the street. As far as the data knowing and going in the street, I don't have that for you. I don't know if there is any exists. Anything, I know as a concerned parent, as many of you guys are, anytime having your kids walk to school by themselves and around cars in the street is something we want to avoid.
I can just tell you anecdotally from being our IRMA rep for many years, we haven't had claims experience relating to people walking into the sidewalk, but we have had a number of people call, and I think we had someone bring this to our attention just recently, that it was impacting their neighborhood. So that was kind of the genesis for us to look at it.
Is this something where you wait for someone to call, or you actively look? What kind of ticket is it?
It's a combination. We try to get compliance first, so oftentimes what we'll do is we'll send out a CSO to the house, try to make notification with the resident, ask them if they could move their vehicles or block the sidewalks. It's usually how it starts, or kids are trying to walk, or elderly couples trying to walk through, or they can't get their wheelchair around. So we try to get compliance that way. We'll start out with warning tickets first. If they don't comply, then we will issue parking tickets for that offense.
Well, right now, you can't block the sidewalks at all, correct? Even in the
Correct.
night. So we're actually loosening the restrictions?
So you're absolutely right. You can't park on the sidewalk as it is right now. I just lost my train of thought where I was going with that, trustee. It is.
We're loosening the restrictions to allow for them to park on the sidewalks at night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the point.
For overnight hours.
Overnight hours.
We're restricting that because how we look at it is most families, most people are not using the sidewalks. Traffic is reduced quite a bit. Overnight hours, reducing the risk of someone getting injured.
Where this helps is in the winter when there's snow on the ground, they can't park on the street because we have to plow. At least they know they can park on their driveway at night and not be at risk of a ticket. But you could clear all the sidewalks, and there are certain people that are going to be on that street walking no matter what. So, I mean, it's, there's no doubt. I know I walk on the street all the time, so. But
Well, the other thing to consider too is, based on the new workplace, a lot of people are working from home. So if you, in my instance, I have a 22-year-old at home now, so she only has to go downtown a couple days a week. So we have more cars in the driveway than we've ever had in our life. And it's not just our house, it's people down the street, people all over town. So I think the nighttime ordinance it's a good idea. The daytime, I don't agree with it, but if it's a state statute, there's nothing I can do about it, so.
So, just so I'm clear, you guys, this is not something we go drive around and give tickets for. This is based
No.
off of complaints.
Correct.
Okay.
This is responsive, this is reactive, not,
Yeah, it irritates me when people are parked across the sidewalk.
It does, for the kids, for sure.
Especially if you're pushing a baby stroller or something else.
are there any other questions, any other
Nope, I
discussion?
think I trust the police on this one.
Yeah, this
We
looks,
move this to the
sounds
board
good.
for a vote then?
Sure.
Yep. Thank you, Chairman Swansky. Public Works and Golf Committee Chairman Daney.
Thank you.
You got
Yeah.
1 minute, Daney.
Excuse me?
You got 1 minute.
All right. We're talking about the waste hauler contract with Groot, and with that, I'll turn it over to Scott. How's that?
Good.
That was
Yes, thank you, Trustee Denny. The proposed contract before you this evening would be a 5-year deal with Groot. The original deal was part of an RFP process in 2017 and then extended for 2 years in 2022. The contract would call for residents to have a frozen rate for the first year and seniors to have a frozen rate for 2 years. The contract would also call to memorialize a lot of the sanitation services that Groot has provided to our civic groups via Goodwill. And the contract would also include all the amenities that residents get at this point in time. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I believe there are some questions, right?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of no bid contracts, and that's what this is. I know it's been negotiated, and you've looked at comparable, what other communities pay. I'm still not a big fan. So, I mean, if this is what we're gonna do, can they make it better than what it was before? Because right now, I mean, yeah, they gave the seniors a freeze, which is great for the second year, but how about 2 years of a freeze for our residents, you know? If we can't make it better than what it was for the majority of the residents, I think we need to send it back out for bid and see what we come up with. Because I guarantee you, if you pick up the phone and you call another waste hauler and say, hey, can you match this? They're gonna match it. And I understand they've been excellent and their there's no complaints, they can handle it. I mean, it's still a no bid contract, and I feel like we need to get more out of it.
Was this bid originally for 5 years ago?
The original bid went out to, in 2017.
Okay, so 2017, what was the average increase from 2017? 20, 40, 50 cents per year? And it's pretty much the same now. So it's escalating slowly. It's not like it's a huge jump, in my opinion. Just for single family I'm looking at, the senior freeze is, my concern is when you go back out, are we gonna lose the amenities that Groot offers us? Because I've been to other towns like Schaumburg, Elgin, where you can't put anything out except the can.
If we did an RFP, it would be at the will of the board. So all those amenities, if you wish, would be included. The reason for this recommendation is based on the market, based on neighboring towns, and quite frankly, their service level. Besides pricing, their service level is better than it's been in the 16 years I've been here.
I totally agree, and I have no problem with Groot right now, and I have no interest in bidding it out.
I think it looks good the way it is. The 3.5% increase is the cost of inflation,
Yeah.
the old cost of inflation.
Inflation.
I think
I say we grab it.
Spinning our wheels. We really pressed them, if I remember correctly, 5 years ago, and they really they got really bad, and then they really picked up their game now. I hate breaking that wheel again with a new company, because you have so many complaints when you change. What do we do here? What do we do there? What's going on? I just don't like doing that. So that's my opinion.
I don't like to do it either, but I want to make sure that I'm not being taken advantage of, and things are good for our residents.
This is a 1-year extension, is that what we're doing, or 2 years?
The proposal in front of you would be 5 years.
5 years. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good. Actually, they did do an analysis. We got that in our email from the neighboring cities, and we're pretty much in line with what neighboring cities are doing. So I didn't see anything in there that was night and day. So pretty close.
Then the personnel they have on the streets, they're familiar with what's going on in certain neighborhoods and whatnot. They know what to expect. And if we do this again and change, we're opening Pandora's box. I think we should just move forward with it and call it a day.
I have to get a new name for my Christmas card that I give them.
Right.
I'm sorry, Trustee Gansey, what was that?
I remember in the beginning, like the online service.
5% increase. I mean,
Do we
it's,
get any complaints?
In this,
Sorry. Sorry. I remember in the beginning, we had a lot of complaints, like the online service was bad, but I know it changed, and it's fine now. Do we get any other complaints now?
we have 6 complaints this past year that was on our online portal, and those were all rectified very swiftly.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm noticing on the other fees on this comparison with other communities, they don't charge us for any other fees. Like, we've got $35 in Streamwood for electronics, $25 for white good day pickup schedule. You know, the other municipalities have other costs, so we don't.
I would also mention, too, in that survey that was emailed to you, many of the communities are 2-day, 3-day, 4-day. There's even a community within that analysis that's 5-day pickup. Bartlett's 1 day.
That's huge.
Yeah. Is there anyone else?
Yep.
Then let's move it forward.
The board for approval.
Yeah. That's all we have.
Thank you, Chairman Daney. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
GUNSTEEN?
Yes.
Hopkins? Laporte?
Yes.
SUWANSKI?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.